So you have a cone of 70 millimeters base diameter, 90 millimeters axis, which is completely penetrated by square prism from the top with its axis parallel to the cone's axis, but 5 millimeters away from it. So you only take all faces of the square prism equally is misspelled there, equally inclined to VP. Base side of prism is 10 millimeters and axis is 100 millimeters long. And we want to draw the projections showing the curve of intersection. So the base we said is 70, and the axis is 90. Now, top view of cone, of course, that's a circle. So we're drawing a center line. Now we switch the layers and draw a diametral line, and then would polar array that's diametral line. We want 8 of those. So test, I want to put in some labels for the divisions. Click away and then select that. So array polar, and I don't want to rotate items, so number of items, of course, that's 8. And I close that. Of course, I can draw projections from those divisional lines. So line, I'll project that point, right, and then I can now click there and connect to the apex like that. So I'm gonna offset the center line by 5 millimeters, because the prism that's penetrating is offset from the center of the axis of the cone by 5 millimeters. Okay, so I'd go for polygon. The top view of the prism is going to be a polygon, so that's four sided. And then let me switch the layer to 0. Go for polygon. Top view of prism is going to be a polygon, four-sided, so number of sides is 4. Then I need to select edges. Now I'll click, and the edge, we're using 20 here, and then the angle is 45. Okay, so I'm gonna select that bias midpoint, and then track that offset point onto the top view. That's the correct thing to do. And take notice that the side of the polygon is 20 and not 10. Okay, so I'm going to project the top view there to get the front view of the prism. Okay, so I'll project those points to get the top view of the prism. The axis is 100. So I would put in the required labels. So, I have A, B, C, D all the way to H, right? So I did that. So just effect those changes. Just make sure you have the same labels as I have there. And I'd have to label these parts or these edges as well. Now those points that have been indicated or shown with PO are the points of intersection, or are the points of interest, I should say. So I'm gonna label those points. So I've taken the liberty of labeling them. So you go ahead and then you put in the same labels as I have there. So I'll project those points. Of course, so 1 goes through A, and then PO. I position a point there, P type, and let me increase that to maybe 3 or something. And then 2 goes through B, right? So line, and then 2 that goes through B. Okay, so that's the point required. That's the generator named B or labeled B. And then 3 goes through C. So with an arc, using that point as center, and then that center to 3 as radius, we draw an arc as shown, and then we project this point, edge of the arc, I want to draw a vertical line. So a vertical line that touches the generator like that. And then where it touches the generator, I project that line to the center line. Just like that. Then I go for PO, and that's my point 3. Okay, so for point 4, I've created a new layer. So we draw a line from the center until it goes through point 8 and then touches the circumference of the circle. And now it moves vertically until it touches the base of the cone, and then we connect from the base of the cone until it touches the apex of the cone, like that. The yellow layer is too thick, so I send it to default. Now the projection of that line and the line in yellow, which is the projection of that white line, and the line in magenta, which we just drew, is going to be zero point 0.4. It's quite tricky, but that's how to get it. And then this seems to be messed up, so I just type region. So take a close look at how the line in purple or magenta is drawn. That is how to get zero point 0.4. And then 0.5. Right, and that is where the yellow line, the generated D, would meet. So PO for point. Then 0.6 will go through E, like that. Finally, we can switch to layer 0 and then draw the curve of intersection. So A, B, C. So let's rather end it there for the first part. And then we go for spline again. Then we can continue with the second part. Like that. It's quite tricky, but you work around it until you can get the correct curve. So I'll just copy that label. So I've taken my time to edit those labels. So there would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, all prime as shown. Then I can break the cone at 0.6, and then at 0.1 or 1 prime. So those two. we can make them, some kind of construction lines. And this is what we have as our solution. So the tricky parts are point 3 and point 4. So you take notice of how we get 3 prime and 4 prime.